ආයුබෝවන් ගෞරවනීය මහා සංඝරත්නයන් අවසරයි reverend members of the clergy, dear friends, the responsible citizens of our beloved motherland. As you know, our country is in a state of deep political turmoil at the moment. It was triggered on October 26th by the most undemocratic, scandalous appointment of Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Prime Minister. You have witnessed this infamous political coup against democracy, against the principles of rule of law and constitutionalism, getting deservedly defeated in the parliament by the democratic forces of this country. In fact, the whole world has seen it, but quite disgustingly, the shameless perpetrators of this coup seems to be still resisting their inevitable withdrawal from the public offices that they are illegally occupying. Today, this country has no prime minister. There is no cabinet of ministers, no state or deputy ministers. The parliament of this country, acting in absolute compliance with the supreme law of the land, the constitution, and operating perfectly in accordance with the standing orders of the parliament, has voted out of the office the undemocratically appointed Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his cabinet. Before the parliament was convened, thanks to the Supreme Court order, there was much rhetoric by the Mahinda Rajapaksa camp on the majority. Now it has become a desperate cry attempting to justify appointment of a PM with no majority. They say there is a precedence. Their claim is that the UMP had only 41 seats in parliament when Ranil Wickremesinghe was appointed the Prime Minister on January 9, 2015. True. Then how? There are three ways in which the parliament can remove a Prime Minister. They are given in the Article 48(2) of the Constitution. One, a defeating a policy statement made by the President, defeating of an appropriation bill, the budget, or passing a motion of no confidence. So, why didn't the UPFA, which claim 148 seats in Parliament, bring a no confidence motion against then Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe when the Parliament met on January 20th, 2015? Then on February 7, 2015, the first budget, the appropriation bill of the newly formed government was tabled in Parliament. The second chance for the UPFA to defeat government. Did they attempt it? No. The budget was passed by 152 vote majority in the Parliament. After some time, the Parliament was prorogued and the new session reopened with a policy statement by the President. Did UPFA attempt to defeat the policy statement? No. The reality is they had a good estimate of their real strength in Parliament. Getting 113 votes out of the merely nominal figure of 142 seats would be a political nightmare. So the legitimacy that they are desperately trying to accord to the Rajapaksa's appointment is nothing more than an insult to the politically literate, intelligent people of this country. On October 26, when all of a sudden it dawned upon President Sirisena that Mahinda Rajapaksa would have the majority support in Parliament. In his opinion, the very next thing that he should have done if he were possessing an iota of respect for parliamentary democracy was to have immediately allowed an actual confidence test for his Prime Minister in the Parliament. That could have happened on November 5th, the next day of Parliament. On the other hand, if the President and Mr. Rajapaksa believed that they could form a government on their own, they had the democratic option of defeating the appropriation bill, which was due to be presented in the Parliament on November 5th itself, instead of driving the country into the present state of turmoil by their unprecedented, undemocratic political maneuver. Ironically, on October 27th, the President thought it fit to prorogue the Parliament, to shut down the Parliament, at a time when such an imminent question was to be democratically decided upon by the Parliament. And then on the 9th November, after repeatedly postponing the opening of the Parliament, the President shockingly dissolved the Parliament altogether. Now, what did this mean? Firstly, no democratic test of confidence for the undemocratically appointed Prime Minister. And secondly, the country would be heading for a general election with such a Prime Minister and Cabinet in power. On November 13, thanks to the independent judiciary of this country, the President's proclamation of dissolving the Parliament was temporarily suspended. Then what happened in the Parliament on November 14th, 15th and 16th? November 14th was the very first opportunity for the Parliament to express its confidence or lack of it on the new Prime Minister. Indeed, that may have as well been the one and only opportunity to do so, simply because there was no guarantee whatsoever from the President that he would not prorogue the Parliament again. So when the Parliament met on 14, MP Sumandiran moved for a suspension of standing orders enabling presentation of the no confidence motion. This was absolutely in accordance with the provisions of the standing order number 135, and that was duly approved by a voice vote taken in accordance with the standing order number 47 on voting. 122 members voted for the motion and no one voted against. Then the JVP members Anuradisa Nayaka and Vijitha Herat presented the no confidence motion. The first part of the resolution declared the gazette issued by the President appointing Mr. Rajapaksa as the PM, removing Mr. Wickremesinghe and dissolving the cabinet unconstitutional and illegal. And then it went on to declare that the Parliament had no confidence in the undemocratically appointed Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his cabinet. Again, this resolution was duly approved by the House by a voice vote with 122 members in the Parliament voting in favour, and very importantly, no one was opposed. None of the so-called government side MPs voted against either of those two resolutions. The reason was obvious. There were only 86 MPs on the government side on 14th November, and for obvious reasons, none of them wanted to ask for a vote to be taken by name, simply because that's the last thing they wanted. And the whole country witnessed that through television. All what they were able to do instead was to keep on shouting and hooting to disturb the process. The result of the vote was communicated to the President by the Speaker. He responded saying that he was not in position to accept the resolution because the first part of it had declared his gazette notification illegal, which would make him liable for subsequent judicial action. When the Parliament met on the 15th, the Speaker made it absolutely clear to the House that there was no Prime Minister, there was no Cabinet and no State or Deputy Ministers after the adoption of the no confidence motion the previous day. Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa made a special statement, and it was duly treated as a statement in his capacity as a Member of Parliament of Kurunegala district. On the same day evening, President summoned the party leaders representing 122 MPs. He explained his position and suggested to resubmit the no confidence motion without the references to his gazette notification as illegal, and to take a vote by names of the members. And very importantly, he also guaranteed that he would advise the members of the government party to refrain from disturbing the voting process. On the 16th morning, at the party leaders' meeting, the totally undemocratic dirty trick that the government side was planning to execute got transpired. The trick was to get the no confidence motion for the second time, to claim that the government exists on that account, and then before the vote is taken, to get President to prorogue the Parliament once again. Obviously, he did not fall into that trap. Instead, the opposition reaffirmed by majority vote the statement made by the Speaker on the previous day, to the effect that there was no Prime Minister, no government, and that the House had no confidence on Mahinda Rajapaksa and his government. None of those ousted government MPs voted. Unfortunately, the President promised to control the uncivilized behavior of the UPFA vanished into thin air. The whole world watched through live television the barbarian acts that the hoodlums of Mahinda Rajapaksa junta were committing in the very heart of the democratic governance of the country. This, no doubt, will be recorded in the world history as the most deplorable attack on the Parliament after Hitler set fire to the German Parliament Reichstag on February 27, 1933. Importantly, on all three occasions, the vote was taken respectively on November 14, November 15, and November 16. All 122 MPs confirmed their vote in writing to the Speaker under their signature. If someone is asking for any more procedural requirement to the proof of no competence, he should be either insane or simply ridiculing the fundamental spirit of democracy for his own survival or both. In the meantime, probably the most hilarious claim on the part of the MR junta is that they want an election. November 16th has exposed to the whole country the true color of the Rajapaksa junta. They have shown to the whole world through their most despicable, most uncivilized and barbarian acts what they could do even in a place none other than the very heart of democracy while the whole world is watching. You and I can only imagine the murderous, barbarian tactics that they would certainly commit in a country-wide election. So if you, as civilized, responsible citizens of this country want a civilized society where the spirit of democracy, the principles of constitutionalism, and the rule of law are valued. If you want a country where its citizens will be recognized as civilized citizens by the civilized world, if you want to pass on your sons and daughters and future generations a civilized country, then one of the first and foremost things that you need to determine to do at this crucial hour is to ensure that the Rajapaksa junta will never again grab the political power of our beloved country. We welcome free and fair election under a legally established civilized government and an independent election commission. We urge the President to appoint a legitimate PM who can command majority in the Parliament, appoint a cabinet of ministers as per the Constitution, allow election commission to operate independently without interference, and very importantly, we urge to hold both the presidential and the general election on the same day. I thank you.